I'm Diana Belton, and I studied a BSc of Sustainable Maritime Operations. When researching different programs online, it looked very supported. It worked with my time management, and the program just was super interesting, considering it does, a little bit of history, but it's about the maritime development. And I just thought, especially with the sustainability and what the world is doing today, that it was probably a really good program. Specifically, it was, again, just because of sustainable maritime operations. I work in the maritime industry in Canada, and right now, I think we're lagging a little bit in a few of the areas. And being a mariner on the West Coast and being part of the Canadian Coast Guard, we are a federal government agency, so we have a lot of influence on maybe some of the programs and how things can be more sustainable, because the Coast Guard is from West Coast all the way to the East Coast and even in the Arctic. So a lot of our programs that we do out the West Coast eventually end up in the East and in the Arctic, and to make them more sustainable is really important. The TLP was wonderful. It was easy to follow. The tech team, if you had any issues, were extremely supportive and fast, even though I live 8 hours away, right? Even on a weekend, there was always somebody to answer questions. The lectures were really well done. They were really well paced. We had all of the formal learning and the formal questions that you can answer. And I think that it gave a whole rounded area of learning, and it didn't feel like you were death by PowerPoint or just clicking on things. It was really immersive, and visually it was really nice as well. I think if you, at the very beginning when it comes out that first day, you look at all of the things, all of the projects that are to be due, the due dates, and I'm if you kind of do all of the modules first and foremost, and you spend a lot of time and dedicate quite a bit of time in the first couple of weeks, you'll get all the information you kind of need, and then utilizing your time afterwards to do your research for your papers worked really, really well. And because if you get ahead of it a little bit and you're able to get to your tutors, and then you can get their feedback, and it's really well done. The feedback that you get, it really shows you where you're kind of missing things, but also where you have maybe been a bit shallow in your research and maybe just been well, this is a thought. And they're like, can you expand on this? It would be better if you had a little bit more of your own thought and where you're getting that. The support was really, really good. Professor Wilderman gave really good feedback, and so did Carlos. And we had a really good relationship of, you could text them, or not text them, email them at any time, and just they would get back to you fairly soon and with really good ideas and specific things. I really struggled a little bit with the Harvard referencing, and I'm like, I really want you to have that red pen, circle it for me. And they're giving you the good resources of where to go, exactly what you're kind of you're just missing a few grammatical errors, but it was really clear. Start early, get into your TLP right away so that you can kind of, section and sponge out all of that information, because some of it might help you with your projects. So, and, do a lot of the reading and be very communicative with your support staff, because they're there. And I think a lot of people shy away and they try to figure it out on their own. And I'm like, don't waste the time, just reach out, because it's a supportive program.